I think we're live. Although, in a rather spectacular twist of me being me, I forgot to put the stream on my the chat on the side here because I'm a genius and I haven't shared the stream anywhere. Yeah, that was clever. I've been here half an hour and I still haven't done that. Oh well. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Moisky Live. Oh, that sounds better than political recap, doesn't it?
Moisky Live, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not like Warski Live's coming back anytime soon. Join. And we don't do IBS. Although I'm sure some of this gives you IBS. Joining me, as always, is my rather thin-looking co-host, Trups LP. Say hello, Trups LP.
Oops, LP.
How is Trups LP?
I'm tired. I'm drinking. We're good.
And what is Trups drinking?
Heineken, actually.
Heineken. Okay, it's interesting choice. I'm drinking traditional mead, honey flavour. Actually, I haven't poured. I was going to go have a shot tonight because I didn't want to drink too much. Don't get it on my legs. Don't get it on my legs. Okay, I should turn the light on before I did that. My mistake. Hello, chat. Hope you're all well. I hope you like the update. It's all official now. It's all done. Penny finished it and sent it to me last night. As you can see, we're both looking pretty damn good. So hello to hello to Serene, Spoonie, Bob, Lulu. Keep going. Tom, hello. Karma, hello. Riverwolf, hello. Hello, Globus, Eden. Hello, Trups. Hello, Horny Hippos.
Me.
Hello, Voigt, Psycho Mega, Stargazer, Christopherus, and Prospero. Hope you're all well. If I've missed anyone, oh, I did. Amber, hello. We have a few things to cover. I need to sort out a video quickly. So, what's been going on this week, Trups?
There's been a couple of things going on. Obviously, the U.S. has their opinions about your politics, and
we'll get
one
to
of the
that.
most interesting things that I have found was, and I've been meaning to ask you about this. Johnson is UK slang for penis, yeah?
It's yes.
Okay. Is Trump actually UK slang for fart?
Yeah.
Is it really? Okay.
Yeah. It's slang for blowing your trumpet.
Oh, I see. Okay, because that was a post on Facebook, and I didn't believe them.
Yeah. It's good. Yeah. Hello, MC. Hello, unknown speaker. Hope you're all well. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. I need to put a video on the screen. Hopefully this is still there. Boom. Yes. So, for the sake of context, have you been paying attention to the Mueller-related stoof? Because obviously I've had a bit of a...
Yes, I have been.
Okay, because I've had a priority with Boris, and so I haven't given this as much time or attention as I would like to have done. I do apologise to those in the chat who would like me to know more, but honestly, seriously, Boris, come on. And Lulu, I have yet to try the halloumi because there wasn't anywhere near that had any. I went into Sainsbury's today and I didn't get anything. Are you having issues with the rabbit room?
Yes, I use Brave browser now.
You're brave.
It was blocking autoplay.
You're very brave. Okay. So, what happened this week with Mueller?
So I believe it was the House Judiciary Committee. I believe it was.
It was.
Or the House Intelligence Committee. And they had called up Mueller to testify, despite having already said that he considers his report testimony. They called him up and they made him testify. But it actually ended up being more of a shit show for him and the Democrats than it was for the Republicans.
Before we get into that, hello Ranting Monkey, good to see you. So the very first thing I looked at after that all happened was Twitter, which is why that video is on the screen for those who are interested. We will play that in a bit. I'm just leaving it there for the time being. One of the things, and I did pull up an article for it, and I will link it in the chat once we are done, was about whether or not Trump had been blackmailed, or if Russia had blackmail on Trump, which is a bit How are you influencing an election if that's what you've got?
Also, like honestly, um, they basically have been trying, and this is still more evidence to
Mm-hmm.
that sentiment. They have been trying to prove that it
Oh,
wasn't their fault.
it
They
was.
lost the
It,
2020 election.
yeah, it was both judiciary and intelligence committees.
Oh, was it? Ah.
Yeah, Ranting Monkey and MC in the chat very kindly um, pointing that out.
Oh, well, I'm glad I at least hit the right two.
You did good. This testimony went on for like 6 hours.
Yeah, well, Mueller started fucking up and not knowing his own details.
I'll be honest, considering how much of it was there, how much do you expect? Not because of his age, but because of how much content he had. How likely is it he's going to remember much of it, or the majority of it?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that I would err on the side of caution. Like one of the instances was a
Freudian slip.
No, the ranking House member for the Republicans. He made a comment about something that was in the Mueller report, and Mueller had refused to answer, saying it was internal deliberations. And that was kind of a gaffe on his part because he had already released the name. I don't remember exactly the context. But I mean that's one of those instances where I would err on the side of caution if I wasn't immediately like sure.
Oh, my apologies, I just stood up because someone mentioned static. If that was what you heard, it was actually my fan. I do apologise, people. I have turned it off. It's fine. Hello?
You're making this poor man live in 38-degree weather. What's wrong with you?
How dare you? It's fine. I'm going to read one of the quotes from this. There was Krishna Murthy. Oh, that's a terrible.
Sure.
Yeah. Individuals can be subject to blackmail if they lie about their interactions with foreign countries. Correct. And Mueller replies, true. Right. Continuing on. As you noted in Volume 2 of your report, Donald Trump repeated 5 times in one press conference, I have nothing to do with Russia. Of course, Michael Cohen and Donald Trump was not being truthful because at this time, Trump was attempting to build Trump Tower Moscow. Your report does not address whether Donald Trump was compromised in any way because of any potential false statements that he made about Trump Tower Moscow. Correct. What on earth does Trump Tower Moscow have to do with influencing the election? All the Mueller report showed us was that he had a moderate connection with a bunch of people that had connections, that had connections, that had connections.
Not to mention the fact that, I mean, this gentleman is an international businessman. And you expect not to have international fucking associates.
Well, no,
Are you kidding me?
It is that, really, isn't it? It's business, not politics. But they're trying to make it politics, which seems a bit silly. I mean,
well, that's kind of the MO for the Democrats, though. Like, the whole idea that everything is now politics is kind of expected at this point.
Yeah.
What is this? It's a movie. Is that politics? It is now.
It is now. Hello, Dead Privacy, Christina. We are here, T-Bell. Hope you're all well. And Peter Manning. Hello. Continue on from this. Chairman Adam Schiff picked up the thread and carried on. And he got Mueller to endorse this principle that the kind of behaviour Trump engaged in made him subject to blackmail. How does this mean blackmail at all?
You also really can't just assert that somebody has been blackmailed if you have no viable proof that they were in fact blackmailed.
Right.
Like I mean, sure, you can just say it, but like, what does that even fucking mean?
I know. I'd heard of the accusations of money laundering. I was kind of trying not to laugh too much while staring at a GIF implying that Nancy Pelosi and that guy actually in the centre there on the screen, whose name I have completely forgotten, were trying to run.
Rings?
Thank you. We're trying to run down the clock on impeaching Trump. Which I thought was quite clever. I don't know how it implies he's actually running down the clock, but Okay. Or they're trying to run down the clock. In fact, I don't even know what they mean by that. Are they trying to not do it, or because they have nothing, or are they trying to do it because they've got something and they're trying to wait and see? I really don't know.
I would say the former, where they have nothing.
Yeah. Hello, Gary Cochran. Hope you're well. Continue on from this. Schiff then drew out an example from the report about the Trump Tower, which Mueller estimated could have given Trump about several $100 million of profit with no downside risk, with Trump denying it publicly. And again, it is exactly that. And what are you trying to say? It's a businessman doing business stuff. I don't see how, again, this is I really don't get it.
Inherently political statement?
Yeah, exactly. So I watched some of this, but all I got from it was, we don't really have anything, so we're just gonna see what we can do. And actually, this leads handily onto this video, which I think what I'm gonna do, because I think you're probably the best person to respond to it. Can you press on the playback control?
Let me see.
Because I think you're the proper person. Hello, Debs Red, Astra, your loyal opposition. I should let you know, Lawgiver is in great condition and is doing better. Maggie, Everspirit, and there was someone else. Debs Red, yes. Can you take control of it?
Yes, I should be able to. Let me see.
It's a 5-minute video, and I think you should be one to do that, because I'm sure you'll have a bit of fun. This, by the way, to me, I'm going to give everyone a little spoiler, just comes across as begging to me. It's the reason I saved it. Oh.
All right. I wanted to make sure I had the control of it.
Mm-hmm. Go for it.
All right, you guys ready?
Oh, I've got my drink. I'm just going to sit back and watch.
Alrighty then. Let's go.
First one to applaud Chairman Nadler, and who heads our Judiciary Committee, and certainly our Chairman of our Intelligence Committee, for what they did today.
Okay, first things first, I want to just mark the people who are surrounding Mr. Cummings here.
Yeah.
I have no idea who this guy is directly to his right.
Yeah, I don't either.
But that face is concerning, to say the very least.
He's biting his lip.
Nadler looks like he's ready for his 5 o'clock nap.
And Nancy's wearing a very plastic smile.
Yeah, she's putting it on hard. She's trying to be at least...
That's Schiff. Who asked the questions?
Ew. Okay.
Thank you. I didn't know who it was. I was referencing articles I've been looking at all day. There were no pictures. It was brilliant. Carry on.
In their committees. What they did was paint a picture for America. One of the most chilling things that I have noticed that I've witnessed.
Paint a picture for America. A very bad, ill-informed, fake news picture.
I think this is plenty a picture by itself.
Yeah, but not many people are going to see this as much as they're going to see the crap on Trump.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Is when a former member of our committee, Mr. Amash, a Republican, went to a town hall meeting and got a round of applause in a Republican district after he had said that he felt that the president should be impeached. But that wasn't the thing that got me. What really got me was when a lady at the end of the town hall meeting said, "I didn't know that there was anything negative in the Mueller report."
Bullshit.
I'm glad you stopped there, because CNN at the bottom there, I really don't want to get struck.
No, that's fine. That's fine. But like, okay. I also like that everyone on cue is now looking to the, I guess, downstage left.
They're all looking dishonest, yes. I should point out, the Mueller report, when we went through it in those 2 streams we did, we went through it, and a lot of it was speculative. It didn't really...
We did 3 streams, remember?
You're right, actually, yeah. Because we touched on it in a 3rd stream, didn't we?
Yeah, we like finalized it.
It just... There was nothing definitive on it, other than to say he had connections who themselves had connections who themselves had connections. Hello, Carlos Castro Joe. Who themselves had connections. Basically, it was like the 7 stages of bacon. Yeah, separation,
Exactly.
you know.
7 degrees of separation.
Thank you, yeah. That's what it was. I'm sorry, but if we're going to go down that path, then I'm sure at some point Trump's LP is in with the Russians.
Oh, I guarantee it. I mean, fucking hell. I mean, yeah. Let's just go with yeah. But
yeah,
one of the things that I have to at least give his that comment credence in one particular fashion. There are people who don't watch the news at all. There are people who literally just go about their day doing what they do. And the news is the last thing that they're worried about because they have their own shit to deal with. These are actually the people who make the best unbiased juries, in my opinion. But yeah, they don't know that there's anything bad. But that also means that they are untainted by the bullshit that the criminal news network puts out.
Yeah.
And I'll even give it to Fox News. They're biased as well, but like they are an unbiased source of opinion, and I think that those people are actually probably one of the best things about our voting base.
I would say all sources are biased regardless of what we believe. I think one of the good things about Fox is that you do get an opinion, and so it's always handy then to balance it with opinions from others that you know are more skewed in another direction. And it's the same within this country with the BBC. I would say the BBC should normally sit in the middle, but it doesn't. It veers quite a lot to a particular side, so you have to balance it out with something like the Daily Mail. And then you try and...
the Daily Mail.
So do I, but it's very handy to use them to then balance it out with articles on the other side. I don't mean
it's kind of like if you combine both of the stories, you get about what happened.
Yeah. It's helpful to try and get a more fair picture. Please continue.
As long as you go through it and like you can sift out what is conjecture, speculation, or just plain straight up opinion versus like what they're telling you. I mean, that was kind of what we did with the Mueller report. It was did Trump order his acting director, I forget whoever that was at the time, to fire the special attorney? Kinda. The answer was kinda. He said if it happened, sure. And the acting director was like, I'm not going to do it. And Trump was like, well, all right, my hands are tied. What? You're not going to do it? Okay, well, then here we are. We're going through it. So I was like, did he try? Kinda. Did he do it? No.
Before we continue, hello, Straight Sith Mail. And please, whenever you want to continue.
Yeah, I was letting it sit for a bit.
It's all good.
So he didn't give us bullshit.
Oh, good.
About President Trump. That says a lot. And to her credit, our speaker made it clear that we needed to paint a picture for America.
Narrative.
Stop painting a picture and tell me what fucking happened.
Exactly. That's the problem. Nobody needs a picture painted. You're doing it for the sake of what you believe to be context. But your context is full of what we call fake news. Therefore, don't paint a picture. Show us the facts. Prove it. Or get to the back of the bus. Not because of the colour of your skin, but because you're a window licker. I had to clarify that.
Show me the car.
Demonetized.
Could fully understand what is going on. This is a critical moment in our country's history. Don't be fooled. And it is a moment which people will be talking about and reading about 300, 400, 500 years from now.
No, they won't.
Yeah, I wanna push on that. I hope fucking not. If they're reading about it, they're gonna read about it like we read about McCarthyism. It's like these guys were so crazy that this is what they thought.
Oh, it's amazing. Are you still there?
They're going to ask the question,
Cool.
what did you do when we had a president who knew the rules and knew that our founding fathers had done a great job of creating a constitution and had put in all the guardrails, but never anticipate that we would have a president that would just throw away the guardrails.
Citation needed.
Also bullshit. I want to point out that when fucking George Washington had actually become president by popular election of the Constitutional Convention, he actually established the precedent of that whole 4-year term thing because he did not want to be a king.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea that they are trying to push forward that oh, we just threw the rules out the window. Bullshit. Do you know how many presidents have thrown the rules out? And then they had to make rules to address those specific presidents? No, come on, man. That's literally how this system works.
Before you continue, right, that pause face. And people in the chat are right. He's taking so long to speak. And obviously, I think on his part an age thing. You do take things a bit slower. But he's taking it to he's more boring than I am.
Oh, don't say that.
I know, it's a very low bar.
All right, continuing.
And that's why what happened today is so critical. It was a giant step in making sure that the American people got a picture of all of this, and hopefully will look towards the future and say, we're not going to have this.
Okay, I just want to ask the audience and you, Meg, do you know what the fuck he's talking about yet?
No, but I'm going to show everyone the result of what's going to happen because of this nonsense. It's going to go on the screen for about 10 seconds. Yeah. That's what's going to happen now because I honestly don't see you winning. Okay? You morons.
Like, what are we in? We're at 2 minutes and 30 seconds into this press conference, and he hasn't said a goddamn thing about what happened yet.
No, he really hasn't. He's just repeating, oh, we want to paint a picture. If you think, by the way, that Donald Trump's these guys are going to beat Donald Trump in 2020, press 1. If you think they're going to lose, press X. Hang on,
let me type.
Is X to doubt them winning? Yeah, that's right, yeah. Oh, that looks like kisses.
Is that enough X's?
It's just, this is so stupid. I can't be bothered.
Yes, correct.
I can't. Carry on, please. Oh, this is tragic.
Both Mr. Nadler and Mr. Schiff said something that's very critical. This isn't normal. And we're now getting so used to normal, to this kind of conduct by our president, and by the way, of our attorney general and our Republican colleagues, that it looks like people are just going to accept it. Well, we refuse to accept it.
Pause.
I still don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
I don't either, but I like we're not going to accept it. That kind of implies a few things. It implies that they're not going to accept that the Mueller report proves jack shit. They're not going to accept that Donald Trump's president. I mean, I don't know what they're talking about. This is a brilliant video. Keep going.
And then in my committee, we constantly, and I know Schiff and Natalie have heard this, people say, oh, you're just messing with the president because you don't like. It's not about not liking the president. It's about loving democracy.
What
happened? It's about loving our country. It's about making a difference for generations yet unborn. That's what this is all about.
We love democracy.
And I'm begging.
When it suits us.
I'm begging the American people
begging.
to pay attention to what is going on.
Are you gonna tell me or not?
Hello, Michael Morris.
This is like listening to my fucking grandfather who had dementia tell the same story over and over again. He would start the story, and then halfway through he would be reminded of the start of the story, and then go back and start again.
Hello, Deb Nilsson, and So Psyched. Hope you're well.
Fuck me.
Yeah.
All right, I'm continuing.
By all means.
Because if you want to have a democracy intact for your children and your children's children and generations yet unborn, we have got to guard this moment. This is our watch. And again, I am so very proud of the Judiciary Committee. I am so very proud of the Intelligence Committee, because they went in and tried to pull out the facts so that they could paint the picture so that America could see it.
Hang on.
Don't do that. Just present them.
Pull out the facts. I'm sorry, but through whose lens are we defining what the facts are? I like that you're getting triggered. It sustains me. Hello, Sean.
I'm sick of him going on. He's waffling. Okay, this video has 1:14 seconds left, and I still don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Okay,
Please.
I see the fucking marquee that says Democratic leaders speak out after Mueller's testimony, but I don't know what they're speaking out against. I don't know what they're speaking out for, except for the vague semblance of democracy.
Mm-hmm. You know what they're doing? They're speaking like politicians in nebulous terms that nobody actually understands, all the while saying that people will understand it.
Oh, I hate this. Okay, keep going. Maybe my pain will be...
I'm not triggered!
soon.
I'm not triggered! Drink.
And hopefully they will not be ladies like the lady at Amash's town hall meeting, who says they didn't know that there was something wrong that Trump did with regard in this Mueller report.
Brainwashed.
And so...
What was that?
Oh, I just thought I'd say brainwashed. She didn't know, so they had
exactly.
to.
Yeah, she wasn't along with your view of the world.
Mm-hmm.
What a tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the speaker is absolutely right.
I said.
She told us a little bit earlier that she wants to gather all the information and make sure that we have everything we need to paint that picture. Now, what the American people do with that's another thing. But we will not stand by and fail to let them see the total picture. And I want to thank Mr. Mueller for coming forward for this service to our country. But last but not least, it is so interesting that when Mueller would make a decision that they liked, they said, "Oh, we love you, you're the greatest thing."
Oh, are you about to shoot your own party?
Hello, TA.
Are you about to shoot yourself in the foot? Because you're about to do it. I'm gonna let him do it.
Come on.
And says ice cream. But then as soon as he says something, they're like, "Oh, you're a bum." Come on now. We have to see through that.
Is that why you forced him to testify after he gave you an entire fucking press conference as to why his testimony would be insufficient?
Yeah.
Weird. Questionable. Who are you talking about, Elijah?
Honestly, I have no idea what the feck is going on now.
Oh my god, that was so painful.
That's one word for it. It was very painful. The fallout from this, well, they still think they have something, and many are accusing Nancy Pelosi of running down the clock.
Running down the clock, you said?
Yeah, the impeachment clock.
Oh, yeah, well.
Because they're not really doing enough to represent the Democrats.
Okay, Nancy Pelosi in recent months has perhaps decided that she wants to continue to have a political career.
Oh, sorry.
And she's been avoiding commenting against people, besides the couple spats within the Democratic Party. But you notice she hasn't really gone after Trump in a hot minute, except for the racist comment that everyone was condemning.
There was
and kind of forced her into a comment.
So Nancy Pelosi had to respond to critics that say she's not moving fast enough on impeaching him, and promised that her approach wouldn't be endless Quote reading, no, I'm not trying to run down the clock. Let's get sophisticated about this, okay? Yeah. So she wants to do so with the strongest hand. That's what the quote says. I'll for those who are interested, I'll link it to you and I'll put it in the chat. I haven't archived anything because I couldn't be bothered. But yeah, that's the accusation. I'll also link the Elijah-related tweet with the video because the comments below it are brilliant.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Yeah. The replies include, oh my god, give it up. Your propaganda and wrap-up smears don't work anymore. Trump 2020 is going to be amazing, which is why I've got the 2020 flag on the screen. Yeah.
I should get one of those and put it up in my house.
Don't see why not. Do you have a MAGA hat?
No, but I've actually been considering buying one.
I would consider getting one. I mean, I've got a little bit of money I could buy one with. Maybe I'll make it a Streamlabs goal after I've gotten...
Yeah, right? I'll make it a Streamlabs goal to buy myself a MAGA hat.
Yeah! Streamlabs goal, MAGA hat. That's not going to get me into trouble in the UK at all.
Oh, no, not for you. It's just going to be... just write it... I don't know, maybe a red hat made in the US.
There was one more thing about this, and that was that Jerry Nadler has announced that his panel will now file an application seeking the Mueller report evidence to then decide on the impeachment strategy. What do you think about that?
So you're going to subpoena basically the attorney-client privilege or the sensitive documents in which you had to appoint a special counsel.
Mm-hmm.
And you think because you were elected by a constituency of, I don't know, depends on your state, you think that gives you the right to now supersede legislators, I want to remind you. That's my comment.
Prospero in the chat says, buy the Trump straws. Fair enough. Do you think that's a possibility, to buy the Trump straws?
They're going to try every fucking day until 2020. And then even after 2020, they're going to keep going at it.
Yeah, they are. It's getting quite embarrassing at this point. I do want to... there was something... Oh, yes, before we continue, please consider smashing the like button. We want all the attention. We need it.
Smasher it.
So... I guess we should talk about it. Monday was very interesting.
Yes, you have your own God Emperor now.
That's not what I call him, but sure. Boris Johnson is the now Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Theresa May did her final PMQs. I covered that. It was interesting. The one takeaway point I will give from it, I will give her credit for an absolute stiff upper lip, quite frankly, and just trying her best to reach a middle ground. Clearly it didn't work, but she tried. Credit to her. It was very interesting to me that even at this moment, Jeremy Corbyn couldn't say one nice thing about her, really, without sticking the nail in. He did credit her for her service and sense of duty, but I'll be honest, that isn't really saying much.
Kind of like scraping the bottom of the barrel there.
I can't wait for his poetry. Boris was, well, sworn in, inaugurated. I don't know what we call it. He just takes over. And immediately got rid of 18 people. That was the most ever, really. Big cabinet shake-up. And yesterday, he sat in Parliament and gave a statement, which is what you're now going to see. And Trups and I are going to cover. But I want to start, I'm going right to the start of it, because at the start, we hear from somebody else. And I think you guys would appreciate this. Now, this is on the UK Parliament channel, which means we don't have to worry about copyright, which is the best part of this. Who's the person we hear from first? Well, let's find out.
The House is known for his courtesy, so I'm sure he will agree with me that language describing travellers as an invasion, a disease, contrasting them with decent people, or talking of them as a problem, all of which have been heard in this House in recent months, is deplorable.
I actually tend to think that travellers that then encroach upon lands that they are not allowed to be on, where they then summarily destroy the habitat and the environment around and then disappear, leaving masses of mess for someone else to clean up, are exactly just that. Hashtag not all travellers, but those that do it are parasite.
What's the word? See if you could help me with this one. There's a word for people who aren't allowed to be on certain land, and then when they go on there, they're considered illegally on that land. What's that word?
Oh, you know, it's at the tip of my tongue, but I just... I'll let you...
Actually, it starts with the same letters as Trump's TR.
It's just I can't think.
Well, all right. Well, let's continue.
All right.
I'm sure
Will
somebody will come up with
arrange
it.
a debate, perhaps in hate crime week?
Oh, by the way, I'm only showing this because I wanted you to see who was first, who you're going to be hearing, who was speaking, and then we'll skip ahead to Boris because his statement is really important.
After the recess, for us to discuss how we can use language respectfully towards everybody in this country.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the Honourable Lady for her generous compliment. But it really is important that we use language properly, that language is effective and language is powerful. Mr. Speaker controls how it is used in this House to ensure that it is orderly, but the general tone should be one of generosity and kindliness, and I would always encourage...
I no longer care. I just wanted to show that it was him first. Let's go to Boris, because here it is. There he is, right.
We should all be kind. Fuck you!
Right.
I just imagine that would be how most other people would respond.
For those who don't know, Jacob Rees-Mogg is now the leader of the Commons. And that's a prestigious position to hold. He is someone that's known for staying in there for a long time, so it's his position and place to be there as much as possible. What I want to cover on this stream is Boris's statement, Corbyn's statement, Boris's response, maybe Blackford as well if we have time. But this is going to take some time, and it's quite good.
Mr. Speaker, I wish the...
No, a little bit more. Right, no.
No, yes.
Right.
Of the House, I note that there will be many opportunities to question him about future business in the weeks and months ahead. Order. Statement, the Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, with permission, I shall make a statement on the mission of this new Conservative government. But before I begin, I'm sure the whole House will join me in paying tribute to my right honourable friend, the member for Maidenhead, for all she has given to the service of our nation. From fighting modern slavery to tackling the problems of mental ill health, she has a great legacy on which we shall all be proud to build.
Well, he's being charitable.
But you know he had to say it.
He's being very charitable.
Yeah.
And our mission is to deliver Brexit on the 31st of October for the purpose of uniting and re-energising our great United Kingdom and making this country the greatest place on earth. And when I say the greatest place on earth, I'm conscious that some may accuse me of hyperbole.
Or they'll just say, "You fucking what, mate?" Or the Americans would say, "Get good." We'll throw your tea in the harbour again.
It is useful to imagine the trajectory on which we could now be embarked. By 2050, it is more than possible that the United Kingdom will be the greatest and most prosperous economy in Europe, at the centre of a new network of trade deals, which we have pioneered with the road and rail investments we are making and propose to make now, the investment in broadband and 5G. Our country will boast the most formidable transport and technological connectivity on the planet by unleashing the productive power of the whole United Kingdom.
This is remarkably optimistic, don't you think?
Could you imagine if he was pessimistic going in? I don't think he would have.
Can you imagine
so
him
much,
standing there being like, right, so we're going to give it a go, but don't expect results.
Yeah, I don't think he really could.
But he's always been very optimistic. That's the wonderful thing about him. I like the fact he's going to give it a go. That's not to say Theresa May didn't try, but she didn't come at it very positively. Productive power, yeah. I quite like that term. That makes me worry that KPIs are going to get shoved right up. But we'll see.
Not just of London and the South East, but of every corner of England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland, we will have closed forever the productivity gap and seen to it that no town is left behind ever again, no community ever forgotten. Our children and grandchildren will be living longer, happier and healthier lives. And our kingdom in 2050, thanks, by the way, to the initiative of the previous Prime Minister, will no longer make any contribution whatsoever to the destruction of our precious planet brought about by carbon emissions.
Yeah, this 2050 carbon emission target of net zero is actually... it's hard to believe it could be done, but I like the fact they're trying to give it a go. They're going to on target to miss the next goal by about 7 or 8%, but they're still trying, and I think that's a good sign. I know they're going to ban diesel cars and all of that within the next 20 years or something, and that's a huge step in forcing companies to be more innovative with automotive transport, which I think is brilliant.
So are we just summing up Boris Johnson as he'll give it a go?
It's the can-do attitude. You don't see it very often in politics. We're going to do this. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. That's what he says. That's basically it. I think the word pluck comes to mind. I think it's optimism, and I think that's putting faith in the people, which I think is something people in that room don't usually do.
No, honestly, that's a lot of how Trump got appreciated. He said that America is great, and that is why we can do anything. And that was the same kind of optimism that I kind of see him pulling from right now.
So when you see people say Trump, you're wrong, it's like, hang on, you doubting America? What's wrong with you?
Because we will have led the world in delivering that net zero target. We will be the home of electric vehicles, cars, even planes, powered by British-made battery technology, being developed right here, right now.
That is
we will have the
I will admit now, battery-powered planes at this present time, a little bit scary, but I'm all for that happening. And if we innovate that, or we develop that, yeah, that's gonna make us some money.
ports to revitalise our coastal communities.
Yeah, you know, we have a lot of potholes in my town. Could you come by and just, I don't know, put some...
Fix that shit?
Yeah, please. Please. They replaced one road recently that never needed replacing. I was very confused by this, because about 2 meters down the road was the road they should have done.
Bioscience sector, liberated from anti-genetic modification rules. Blight-resistant crops.
IntelliCrops. Honestly, I don't get why people are against genetically modified crops, considering the benefits. I honestly don't understand. I know enough about GM to get it. Hang on, that just sounds like I'm plugging genital mutilation. Genetic modifications on crops.
I thought you were talking about General Motors.
Yes, we can fix them too. I'm not against... yeah, I think it's a great idea. I think we could do some good... Okay, we have issues with crops in our country. Our soil is too acidic. It's very hard. But it is possible to adapt. And I think we can... Yeah, it is scientific illiteracy. You're absolutely right. There are some that are a bit bad. I will say there are some GMOs that haven't really worked out that well. But there, if done and applied properly and correctly, it can actually benefit us. So I'm actually in favour. And the rules, EU rules, are fucking stupid.
Feed the world and the satellite and Earth observation systems that are the envy of the world. We will be the seedbed for the most exciting and most dynamic business investments on the planet. Our constitutional...
Order, I apologise for interrupting the Prime Minister. There's far too much noise in this chamber.
Order!
And far too many members who think it's all right for them to shout out their opinion at the Prime Minister. Well, let's be clear, it isn't. The statement will be heard, and there will be ample opportunity, in conformity with convention and as established by me over the last decade, for colleagues to question the Prime Minister. But the statement will be heard, and it will be heard with courtesy.
Order. Hello, Devonor. Carlos, Omegon by definition, agriculture and domestication is GMO. Once was done by crossing, now it's done lower in the genetic chain. Yes. I know. But
I
GMO...
think they meant artificially GMOs.
Yeah, it's still bad, though, of course. Right. Sarcasm sign somewhere. I don't actually have it on this set, I'm afraid. I'll have to sort that out for the next one.
Mr. Speaker, may I applaud your intervention, and I think there's also far too much negativity about the potential of our great country. I think you will agree, Mr. Speaker, because our constitutional settlement, our United Kingdom, will be firm and will be secure. Our union of nations beyond question. Our democracy robust. Our future clean, green, prosperous, united, confident, and ambitious. And that is the prize, and that is our responsibility in this House of Commons to fulfil. And to do so, we must take some immediate steps. And the first is to restore trust in our democracy. And
I bet some people thought what he was going to say there was, that's why I'm calling for a snap general election. I honestly believe that's why. Because people are like, oh, but you didn't get elected into position, forgetting that's not how this works. Forgetting Gordon Brown got chosen as well when he took over from Blair. Forgetting that the leader of the SNP took over from Alex Salmond and she wasn't elected either. Seriously.
Fulfill the repeated promises of Parliament to the people by coming out of the European Union and doing so on October the 31st. I and all ministers are committed to leaving on this date, whatever the circumstances, and to do otherwise would cause a catastrophic loss of confidence in our political system. It would leave the British people wondering whether their politicians could ever be trusted again to follow a clear democratic instruction. I would prefer us to leave the EU with a deal. I would much prefer it. I believe that it is possible even at this late stage, and I will work flat out to make it happen. But certain things need to be clear. The withdrawal agreement negotiated by my predecessor has been 3 times rejected by this House. Its terms are unacceptable to this Parliament and to this country. No country that values its independence and indeed its self-respect could agree to a treaty which signed away our economic independence and self-government as this backstop does.
It's not just that, but also the fact that we would have to abide rules that we would have no say over in the form of basically the customs union. We wouldn't be a part of it, but we'd have to abide the rules of it.
That's kind of the whole point that you chose to get out of it, huh?
Yeah, and to someone in chat says, improve the quality of our soil. We have tried that for hundreds of years and failed miserably. And yes, 57 likes, please. Do better.
A time limit is not enough. If an agreement is to be reached, it must be clearly understood that the way to the deal goes by way of the abolition of the backstop. For our part, we are ready to negotiate in good faith an alternative, with provisions to ensure that the Irish border issues are dealt with where they should always have been in the negotiations on the future agreement between the UK and the EU. I do not accept the argument that says these issues can only be solved by all or part of the UK remaining in the customs union or in the single market. The evidence is that other arrangements are perfectly possible.
I see that skepticism coming up.
And are also perfectly compatible with the Belfast or Good Friday Agreement, to which we are, of course, steadfastly committed. My team, and my right honourable friend, the Secretary of State for Exiting the European Union, are ready to meet and talk on this basis to the Commission or other EU colleagues whenever, wherever they are ready to do so. And for our part, we will throw ourselves into these negotiations with the greatest energy and determination and in a spirit of friendship. And I hope that the EU will be equally ready and that they will rethink their current refusal.
Press X to doubt that they will change their mind.
To make any changes to the withdrawal agreement.
Although I will say, and I just thought we might talk about it for a minute, I do think it'd be very interesting if the new EU Parliament President does want to hold more discussions with us, renegotiate it within the space of 98 days. I like the discussion in chat about all those plants that we now eat that were once or are off from mutated seeds and such. That's fascinating. And kale. Ugh, kale.
If they do not, we will of course have to leave the UK without an agreement under Article 50.
He did just misspeak. We will have to leave the UK. Hello, Dibula.
The UK is better prepared for that situation than many believe. But we are not as ready yet as we should be.
I like that he's willing to accept no deal. Nobody is shouting this down. It's a fundamental fact, and people keep saying it isn't. You're morons. Purple carrots are best carrots.
In the 98 days that remain to us, we must turbocharge our preparations to make sure that there is as little disruption as possible to our national life. And I believe that that is possible with the kind of national effort that the British people have made before and will make again. And in these circumstances, we would, of course, have available the £39 billion in the withdrawal agreement to help deal with any consequences.
39 billion goes a long way. It could actually help while we set up trade deals with, for example, I don't know, the one with the other orange man.
Hello, that is my country.
Yekshimesh. I'm sure.
Yekshimesh, man.
That's a funny. Trump has even said he could negotiate one of the best deals for us, and I do believe that we could do what the EU couldn't do. The EU does not have a trade deal with the US. But if the UK can get it, the EU is going to want to talk to us. And then,
ooh, perhaps that would be a good bartering chip for you guys to exit the union with a deal.
they can then suck on our collective noodly appendages.
Oh yeah, we all have those.
Even the whammon.
Instructed the Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster to make these preparations his top priority. I have asked the Cabinet Secretary to mobilise the civil service to deliver this outcome should it become necessary. And the Chancellor has confirmed that all necessary funding will be made available.
Okay, oh, excuse me. It should be pointed out that Parliament has slapped down preparations for no deal repeatedly. Oh, you can't put this 4-point-something billion to one side in case of no deal. Not allowed to do that. We vote it down. You can't spend money. Okay, you can't prepare for something that might happen if we can't agree a deal. But you want us to waste the remaining 99 days trying to sort out the deal by going back to the people to decide whether they agree with the deal. And you wait till Corbyn stands up because he's going to say something that's going to actually piss me off. We'll get to him, I promise.
I can't wait.
I will also ensure 4.2 billion has already been allocated. I will also ensure that preparing for leaving the EU without an agreement under Article 50 is not just about seeking to mitigate the challenges, but also about grasping the opportunities. This is not just about technical preparations, vital though they are.
I'm just going to say, he has a fantastic mop of hair, but I can't but notice there is no, like crown on it, you know what I mean? Where the swell is.
Yeah.
His hair just doesn't sit. It's brilliant. Maybe you should grow it long and tie it back in a ponytail.
I was thinking, like, he would look like a rocker if he grew it out.
He'd probably look like a mullet.
It is about having a clear economic strategy for the UK in all scenarios. Something in which the Conservative Party has always led the way. And it's about producing policies which will boost the competitiveness and the productivity of our economy when we are free of EU regulations. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, we will begin right away on working to change the tax rules to provide extra incentives to invest in capital and research. We will now be accelerating the talks on those free trade deals, and we will prepare an economic package to boost British business and lengthen this country's lead, which seems so bitterly resented by the benches opposite.
Right, what I'm going to do... I know. I'm going to skip ahead a little because he goes on for quite a while. I'm going to go straight to Corbyn, right? Because this is... I don't want to spend all night on this, but it is good.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Dickhead.
I welcome the right honourable gentleman to his position.
Did we just welcome in a soccer
and I thank him
team?
for an advance copy of his statement. No one underestimates this country, but the
LOL X.
country is... But the country is deeply worried that the new Prime Minister overestimates himself.
No. Hello, Wondering Lisa. Fuckface. He's not himself. He's placing his faith in the people. He does believe he can do some things, yes, and you should be confident. You're now just trying to tear at his confidence. Really? Is that all you've... Oh, fuck. Carry on. You're going to say something stupid, Bench.
He inherits a country that's been held back by 9 years of austerity.
Right, he's going to say this won't be the one that actually pisses me off. He's going to say something really stupid in a minute. I'll give it a minute. You'll love this.
That's hit children and young people the hardest.
I know.
Their youth centres have closed. Yep. Their school funding cut. College budgets slashed. And with the help of the Liberal Democrats, tuition fees have trebled.
Right, I should offer... Okay, first of all, I was affected by austerity. I was 25, and I got absolutely fucked. Okay? The Liberal Democrats did agree to it as part of a coalition, but the only reason why was because they then agreed in turn to have the tax bar raised so people could earn up to £10,000 without having to pay taxes. And also... the government was seeking to find money to save through austerity because they were subsidising universities for people to go to uni in the first place. Okay? It wasn't done as a means to... Random question, Omegon. If you ever have children, do we have your permission to call you Octodad? I think the term's actually Octodaddy. But sure. Yeah, austerity had to be when it was introduced. It had to be introduced, and the tuition fees, because at the time £3,000 a year was what we were paying. The government was subsidising quite a considerable amount through grants, so they took away the grants, and then gave universities the opportunity to raise it to up to £9,000. They all chose to raise it to £9,000. They made that decision. They didn't vote for it to be increased. The university made the choice to do it. Anyway, that's not the bit that annoys me. Well, the first bit anyway. Go for it.
Their housing costs are higher than ever. Their jobs are lower paid. Opportunity and freedom have been taken away. Austerity was always a political choice, never an economic necessity.
That is incorrect. You see, the options that were exhausted included quantitative easing, which meant they had to print money that never existed to encourage people to spend non-existent money. The economic crash caused by RBS, in this country especially, because the government had to bail them out to the tune of many, many billions, so that part of RBS became public ownership, was a phenomenal hit. What the government did at the time was sell off things, assets of ours, that were worth a lot more than what he got for them. The only option available was to hurt everybody. That was the only option left. It was not a political move. It was accepting that the previous government, who happened to be sitting on your side, Mr. Corbyn, absolutely destroyed our economy with new Labour policies that were so ridiculous that the only people that benefited from them were those who were jobless, had many kids and sat at home blaming the world for their problems, all the while being able to live more comfortably than somebody who worked full-time. This isn't the part that annoys me, but it does bug me. And let's not forget the memo. Yes, you're right, Lulu. The memo left to the Chancellor that said there's no money left. Political motivation? No. Entirely because there was nothing there. Seriously.
Order! I indicated that people wouldn't shout down the Prime Minister. Precisely the same applies to the Leader of the Opposition. Don't try it. You're wasting your vocal cords. And above all, it won't work. The right honourable gentleman will be heard, and these exchanges will take as long as they will take, whatever other appointments people might have.
Order.
The right honourable gentleman will be heard. Stop it.
Order.
Jeremy Corbyn.
Order.
Mr. Speaker.
His predecessor promised to end austerity, but spectacularly failed to deliver. People do not trust this Prime Minister to make the right choices for the majority of people in this country.
Are they the same people you represent? Mr. I live in a £1 million house? But also a socialist.
When he's also promising tax giveaways to the richest and big business, his own party's funders.
Citation needed.
So, can he now indicate when he will set out the details?
Wait, hold on. Pause that.
Of the...
Go.
Wait, okay. So, wait. What the Prime Minister said in his speech, the little parts that we did hear, he said that we wanted to invest in capital for the country. Corbyn is now saying that that is a bad thing because that is the group of people who support his party.
Yeah.
So, wait, there is a logical conclusion that one could speculate. Does that mean that the people who back your party are not from this country?
Yeah. Well, to be fair, he supports Iran, so...
Oh, I know.
We'll get to that.
But I was following it to its logical conclusion. If you're blaming internal capital gains or internal business as being partisan, meaning that it's for the Tories or the Conservatives, are you saying that you aren't invested into the same people?
But Traps, you forget. He's a socialist. He only believes
right.
in...
Seize the means of business.
Exactly.
Sorry, that's communist.
He wants control of... I'm not against renationalising certain services. It's just the cost of doing it would be ridiculous. So at this present time, it's not advisable until we have the capital to actually do it, as opposed to borrowing. I don't really want more gilts. Don't need those. How about we don't have any debt interest? That'd be really nice. Continuing.
Exact funding settlement for our schools, our hard-pressed local authorities, and
which he has been already working on, including the police, where 20,000 police officers are now being recruited within the next 2 weeks to get back on the streets.
And police, so they can start planning now.
It tells me a lot that he doesn't actually bother paying attention to the news, because if he'd known, he would have already known that this has already been tackled.
We must also address the deep regional inequalities in this country.
Ooh, yeah.
The Northern Powerhouse has been massively underpowered. The Midlands engine has not been fueled. So will he match...
I just want to say, because I live in the southeast. Where the fuck's our little powerhouse or engine? Where's our wheel? Do we get shit? Because Kent's not exactly a wealthy county. I'm from Surrey, but Kent's not doing very well right now. You going to give us something, you fuckers? Or is the South the privileged? Because I'm very confused right now.
Labour's commitment to a $500 billion investment fund to rebalance this country through regional development banks and a national transformation fund. He has hastily thrown together a hard-right cabinet.
Not really.
And I've just a couple of questions. Whoa,
Dibula. Who the fuck thinks I'm white? Naughty, Dibula. Naughty. Don't you dare assume my race.
You just time
Mr. Speaker, on those...
Yes, I did.
...those appointments. Given his first appointment...
Oh, I should also say, hard right or right-leaning isn't necessarily a bad thing. It doesn't matter what side of the political or whatever part of the political spectrum you're on. It doesn't matter to me. You're all autists to me.
Is the Home Secretary, the first Home Secretary for a generation to support the death penalty.
Right, I should clear this up. Priti Patel on Question Time once said that she would support it being brought back as a deterrent only, never to be used. That's what she said.
Can the Prime Minister assure the House now that his government has no plans to try and bring back capital punishment to this country?
Order!
And before appointing the new Education Secretary, was the Prime Minister given sight of the Huawei leak investigation by the Cabinet Secretary? I'm deeply alarmed to see no plan for Brexit.
There was a plan. Renegotiate. Did you not hear him?
He was in the Cabinet that accepted the backstop and, of course, voted for it on the 30th of March this year.
And in an interview afterwards, he said he did that because he just wanted to get this done, take the battle, and then move it to the next stage and fight the war there. Of course, this makes him a flip-flop. Give it a second.
It would be welcome if he could set out what he finds so objectionable, having voted for it less than 4 months ago. Can he explain this flip-flopping? The House...
Told you.
The House will have both a sense of déjà vu and of trepidation.
Deja what? Deja what?
Vu, you fuckhead.
At a Prime Minister setting out rigid red lines and an artificial timetable. There is something...
Nothing artificial about 97 days.
...eerily familiar about a Prime Minister marching off to Europe with demands to scrap the backstop. So how does the Prime Minister think he will succeed where his predecessor failed? However, I do welcome the Prime Minister's commitment to finally guarantee the rights of European Union citizens. It's a great shame that this offer has only been made now, more than 3 years after this party put that proposal before this House.
Yeah, good ideas get used. Fantastic. What's your point?
Our friends, neighbours, family should never have been treated as bargaining chips, causing untold stress and worry to people that have worked so hard for this community, this country, and the communities that we make up. If the Prime Minister continues to pursue a reckless no deal, does he accept that he would be directly flouting the expressed will of this Parliament? Industry,
yes.
Business and unions have been absolutely clear about the threat that it poses. No deal means no steel, no car industry, food prices dramatically rising, and huge job losses.
These are all things that have been posited as what could possibly happen.
And also, what I said yes to was, does he understand that this will... Oh, God, what the fuck did he say?
Called me
like
what?
3 seconds ago?
Oh, what? Corbyn? I can't go back 3 seconds.
Whatever.
I can go back 14 seconds.
Sure, let's do that.
Absolutely clear about the threat that it poses. No deal means no steel, no car industry.
But yeah.
Food prices dramatically rising.
So this is basically a full of shit argument. It's the same as the whole economy being will tank if we leave, and yet our economy is still growing. It's still one of the strongest in the G7. We're still doing well. This is scaremongery at its finest. I'll let him continue because he's going to get to what really pisses me off soon, I promise you.
And huge job losses. Make UK say Make UK, representing much of manufacturing industry, says no deal would be the height of economic lunacy. Companies from Toyota to Asda have been clear about the dangers of no deal. Is the Prime Minister still guided by his business policy?
Business policy. Do you know what that means?
No, can you explain?
Fuck.
Ah, good.
It took me like 3 seconds to work that out. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, those reckless...
Unless he meant F for respect. Ellipses.
Good.
advocating no deal won't be the ones who lose out. The wealthy elite that funds him and his party will not lose their jobs, see their living standards cut, or face higher food bills.
Yes, they will. They'll have higher food bills.
Oh! Okay, now I know what the fuck I said. It was when he said if the Prime Minister decides, if he continues to pursue no deal, does he accept that he will be going against this Parliament? I said yes, because the Parliament is not the will of the people.
Yeah, because most of the people in that room want to remain. Give it a minute.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Mr. Speaker, if the Prime Minister has confidence in his plan once he's decided what it is, he should go back to the people with that plan.
Oh, here we go.
Labour will oppose any deal that fails to protect jobs. We will oppose any deal that fails to protect jobs, workers' rights, or environmental protections. And if he has the confidence to put that decision back to the people, we would, in those circumstances, campaign to remain.
Boom! Mic drop. Mic drop moment. He said it. This is what pissed me off so much. There is no version of Brexit where he doesn't say this. Because it won't be good enough unless we remain. You fucking what, mate? You should immediately stand down because you no longer represent the workers. You're willing to let them endanger their own futures for a bunch of people who will then dictate terms about what people can and cannot do, where they can and cannot go, who themselves may not bring good to the country. This is absolute bullshit. I support workers' rights and workers' standards. I do actually support that. That's why I think it should be enshrined in our own law. As opposed to staying with the EU just because it's easier. You moron. I don't think, by the way, we have time to continue with this, but I will say Boris's response, he takes a shot at McDonnell. Hang on, does this it here?
Who can you trust to run? How can I?
Here we go.
Don't respect your delinquency. Calm yourself,
we'll
man. Take some sort of soothing medicament and you'll feel better as a consequence. The Prime Minister.
They don't like it, but the truth is there were more homes built in this country last year than in any year in the last 31 years, bar one. Wages are now outperforming inflation for the first time in a decade. The living wage, a conservative policy. Which I'm proud to say I championed in London and was then stolen by our wonderful Conservative government and put into a national policy. The living wage has expanded the incomes of those who receive it by £4,500 since 2010. That is a fantastic achievement, and it is a Conservative achievement. The right honourable gentleman asks about trust and who can you trust to run? How on earth? And he asks about Iran. Mr. Speaker.
Ooh, he went there.
A gentleman who has been paid by Press TV of Iran, who repeatedly sides with the mullahs of Tehran rather than our friends in the United States over what is...
I should point out that it was made quite clear, actually, his own father, Boris Johnson's father, was also interviewed on that channel, so people like to use that against him, but I don't see how it's a point.
What's happening in the Persian Gulf? How incredible that we should even think of entrusting that gentleman with the stewardship of this country's security. But worse than that, by far, Mr. Speaker, this is a right honourable gentleman who is set on an economic policy together with the shadow chancellor who was sacked by Ken Livingstone for being too left-wing.
Oh, it's more than that. So he was sacked by Ken Livingstone, but there's a bit more to it. Right, so John McDonnell, back in the late 80s, around the time I was born, in fact, he fabricated in 85 a strategy to oppose rate capping. He claimed the cap would lead to £150 million in cuts. McDonnell basically exaggerated spending figures to support his case while a councillor, and that the GLC, or Greater London Council, had to ignore the rates cap. With Livingstone in his autobiography being quoted as saying, if these figures are right, we're going to look like the biggest fucking liar since Goebbels.
Damn.
But yeah, McDonnell did lie. That I wanted to get to that because that to me is my favourite bit. I just need to play this. It's funny.
Quite rightly. Sacked for fabricating a budget. He forged a budget. Sacked for forging a budget.
The response, like Boris's response, he's like sacked. He's just unashamedly outing him. I love it. This part made me laugh because it made up for what Jeremy said. I really enjoyed it. Before we finish, is there anything you'd like to shill, by the way? Because I think we're going to have to end here because I need to do other things.
Yes, well, unfortunately, I won't be able to stream my usual time tomorrow for those who like to come by. I won't be able to stream tomorrow for those who like to come by on my channel. Because I have to work tomorrow morning.
Oh, so do I. I'm sorry to hear that. I am going to shill something because a friend of mine is having a really difficult time. Some really bad stuff's happened to them and their partner and some children they were going to have. And they're having a really difficult financial time. And so I'm going to shill their GoFundMe, which I'm linking in the chat for anyone that is interested in helping. I'd really appreciate it. One of my friends who did shill the stream is streaming now. The GoFundMe, sorry, is streaming now. So if you can, go over to his channel and also give it a watch. Yeah, I think that's it, actually. I will be back here maybe next week. Are you off next week or not?
I'm available next week, yeah.
Sweet. I didn't know when you were going on a holiday, that was it.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Cool. Thank you all for joining. Say goodnight, Trops.
Good night, Trops.
Good night, Trops.